Welcome to the Cashflow Project podcast. Are you looking to better your financial situation by increasing your cash flow? Too busy to hunt for real estate deals or don't know where to start? Then you're in the right spot. Join us as we dive in and talk about investing for cash flow using multifamily real estate.
Welcome to the Cashflow Project podcast. I'm your host, Steve Pieros of Tri-City Equity Group. Today, we've got Ron Koenigsberg on the show. Ron is the founder and president of American Investment Properties. He's a successful Long Island broker with over 30 years experience in the commercial real estate brokerage industry, including being awarded the prestigious CCIM designation. He's also the author of The Power Broker, How to Be Successful in Business and Life, an indispensable guide to learning and utilizing classic sales and interpersonal skills. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve. It's fun to be here.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy, got clients to serve and provide value out in the marketplace. So I really appreciate you taking the time with me and our listeners here to kind of just sharing your journey, sharing your experience over the years in commercial real estate. But yeah, for those of our listeners that might not be familiar with who you are and had any interaction with you over the years, maybe through real estate or maybe through other podcasts, fill us in a little bit of your backstory. How'd you get started in real estate? As you come from a long line of real estate moguls and you just hopped in the business, or give us some of how you got started.
Really simple. I grew up really modest. My dad was trying to figure it out. He grew up as the son of a guy who owned a luncheonette, a tiny little luncheonette, and he struck out and sold life insurance. And then from life insurance, he tried to sell some other investments and eventually became a real estate syndicator. I gave my dad really with a very limited education. He's still around, 88 years old. He's a pretty fearless guy. And it's from that where he sold life insurance, he sold mutual funds, he sold real estate investments, that my brother and I got a sense of what he was doing and said, hey, you know what? Dad seems to have the most fun, or the part that interests us most is his syndications, his commercial real estate investments, his partnerships that he's helped put together. My brother became a real estate lawyer and I became a real estate broker as a salesman. I thought it was natural to go become a real estate salesman. That's really what I am.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I mean, especially in times like right now where we've got tons of high inflation and hey, we need to get people into hard assets and something that's going to not only weather the storm, but deliver and perform through volatility in the marketplace. Now you went into the sales side. Obviously that's playing to something you identified, let's say within your own personality, to say, okay, well, hey, I could go be a lawyer like brother, right? Or some kind of other entrepreneur, maybe like dad. I mean, you are an entrepreneur, but what was it that made you kind of click? Okay, you know what? Hey, I think I would be good at the sales thing. Did you have some experience with that along the way, or?
Yeah, I had the luck or fortune or disfortune of being completely dyslexic. And what dyslexic means is when you're in the third grade, everybody is reading and you're looking at this stuff going, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting this. I am 1 out of 6 people are dyslexic. And I think that it's a scale. I'm very dyslexic. And because of that, I always felt dumb. It made you feel stupid right out of the gate. I'm 60 years old. I was born in 1964. And 1 out of 6 people is dyslexic. So I'm not the only one out there. And someone's listening right now saying, hey, man, there are workarounds, but there really weren't in 1964. So I think ideally what happened was that I think that we pick up what we can and then we use our other senses. And I think I became a good communicator and I think I became a good, listener and salesman and people person because I was told I was dumb. I don't think I'm dumb. I think that, I have some good accomplishments, but ideally I've never moved away from those people skills. So my story is one where I am born a broker because I'm so deeply dyslexic.
That's awesome. I mean, what a way to, most people would say, okay, well, hey, I have this diagnosis or whatever, just to your point. Okay, well, hey, you're different. Whereas it's like, well, yeah, I am different. I'm set apart and I'm made to be in this role and I'm going to fit into this sales role, this delivering value to my clients and do it in a way that's going to knock it out of the park. So no, that's awesome.
I think that it was humbling, have so many people laugh at me growing up, but I also think that it set the stage for me to be, I see myself as an underdog. I own my own firm and I've had many people say to me, they've called me the Lone Ranger because I mostly work alone, on deals. I'm very hands-on. So I think I come to everything with a very hands-on approach, and I also think if I come to everything with we all are, we all have our difficulties and our challenges. So I look at everybody else and saying, "Hey, I'm dyslexic. I can't read. What about you? Hey." So I think that approach, but I love brokering deals. I fundamentally believe in commercial real estate as an investment. Now it's just going about getting the best listings, sharing with sellers in my marketplace that I'm the person to represent them, and building relationships with buyers and telling them honestly what I like about it and what I don't. Real estate sells itself.
Yeah,
So as a
no, for
commercial real
sure.
estate broker, um, I love it. Would I do it for free? Probably. I don't know what else I'd be.
Well, you probably still enjoy the interaction, like the people component. That's always a thing.
That's
So yeah,
that's
that's
right.
very cool. Well, I mean, you've been in the business for a long time, and I always enjoy talking to people who've been through various market cycles. For people that have just got into real estate because it's been the hot thing for the last however many years. Everybody's kind of used to the sugar rush of these ultra low interest rates and these strong economic drivers. They really haven't had the opportunity up until very recently, honestly, to face any kind of headwinds. Like I said, I love interacting with people and kind of picking the brain of people in the space who have been through
Yeah.
volatility because it's not
Yeah.
all rainbows and sunshine. Like I'm sure you've had to change maybe the way that you've done things over the years and being in the business that long too. You would have also seen a lot of changes in technology, I would imagine. I'm curious about that too. How has that
Sure.
impacted, your business,
Deal
let's say
flow.
over the
How is
years?
it impacted? Right. No, you have to definitely be a chameleon and you need to adapt. So let's talk about technology in real estate.
Hmm.
87.5% of all new sales start online. So anyone out there listening, really LoopNet has become in my marketplace the listing tool to find deals online. I think it's really changed. It used to be when I first started in this business, we used to fax out listings, and now it's more reactive because so much happens online. But what's interesting though, the deal velocity hasn't significantly changed. Basically, in my marketplace, about 2.6% of all properties sell on any given year. About 5% gets listed and roughly 2.5 or 2.6%. So on average, every building sells once every 40 years. I'm a statistics guy. I was an
Yeah.
accountant. I guess because you can't read, the numbers maybe start to entice you. So yeah, absolutely. Just as start throwing out numbers, 87.5% of all new searches start online. I like exposure. I represent sellers. I work on exclusive listings. I sell shopping centers, office buildings. I sell triple nets, but not as many. And I do sell here on Long Island. We don't have a lot of apartment buildings, and we also don't have a lot of industrial. I am just like a bedroom community right outside of Manhattan, and it's always believed we are the first suburban, Levittown, we are the first suburban community in the country.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, pretty
Okay,
cool.
very
Also
cool.
home to Billy Joel and people with thick New York accents like myself.
No, yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, I mean, like I said, the simple fact that you deal in commercial real estate and not necessarily multifamily, again, but it's all interconnected. We're still dealing with the same kind of debt markets. There's still the same underlying economic drivers. I'm curious too, like how you've seen, let's say, even within the last few years, like let's say post COVID, right? Now a lot of this has changed, kind of some of the market dynamics, interest rates, and all that kind of good stuff. Have you found I've seen, I guess, on our end, some changes in the way people are maybe being more creative in deals or that kind of deal. Have you seen more of that, like in the
Of
last few
course, yeah,
years?
definitely. Absolutely. And you're right. I have seen many, many different markets and they've really significantly changed. I think that being born in 1964, having my dad, he really wanted his two sons to at the dinner table and take us to real estate sites. He just wanted to immerse us in it. I think that my dad basically had financial fears, just didn't want himself to be poor. He didn't want his boys to be poor. And clearly he wanted our family. He wanted the best for us and still does. So he was good that way in that he brought us in and he started to show us everything that he possibly could. The reason why I think I go back so long, because I do remember when interest rates were 18%. No, slow the tape. 18%. So when people say to me 7% interest rates or 6% interest rates are high, I get it. They're triple the lowest interest rates we've ever had on this planet. But no, they are not high. For the most part, when I started really in the 90s to get into this business and broker deals, 10%, 10 caps were the industry standard. Okay. So the fact right now that rates are 6 or 7%, but they have tripled and banks are not lending. And I've probably seen this scenario in 30 years, let's just say 3 times, or maybe even 4 times, a little bit with growing up and seeing it through my dad's eyes. And what I'm seeing right now is the same script. To me, it's very, very, very predictable. The Fed wanted to keep us out of a recession, so they raised interest rates. There was a lot of money printed during COVID, and it did perhaps keep us out of a recession or depression. And they have some great minds. It's not political. The Federal Reserve is not Democratic nor Republican. They simply are an agency to assure that we don't have any Great Depressions. So as they're lowering rates right now, stocks trade on anticipation of earnings. Real estate trades on earnings. We're watching the stock market reach all-time high day after day. What's next? There's no mystery to me. There's no mystery. As interest rates decrease, as we get maybe a little certainty on again, not being political, but there's an election in November. I think people like certainty. So I think lower rates, a little political certainty on which is going to be the next administration, whichever that might be. I do think that we are going to see appreciation in commercial real estate. And I also believe between now and the election in November or the end of the year, we do have a unique opportunity to go out and be aggressive and buy real estate before interest rates rise.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we're actively in the process of an acquisition right now, or well, ideally we get something else also before the end of the year. I think you're right. I think there's a nice little window in here right now before rates really start to tick down, let's say, because all that's going to do is drive prices. So for those of you guys that have been sitting on the sidelines, oh, well, yeah, I'm just waiting for the market to crash. Maybe we'll wait in the market crash. Look, you're gonna be waiting forever. Like, don't sit on your hands, get into the market.
I've never seen a market crash. That's true. I've really never seen a market crash. I've seen some tough times in the late 80s, but I've never really seen a market crash like a stock market crash. So I tend to agree with you. I've had a lot of people say, I'm waiting for the market to crash, but I really think at this point, cap rates are going to compress. Banks will start to get back into the marketplace and start to lend. And I do think that we're going to have a vibrant commercial real estate market. But in the interim, I hear from buyers, hey, why would I buy right now? I can get a similar return if you're offering me a 6 cap or a 7 cap in another type of investment where, and I'm thinking to myself, capital appreciation, because I've heard it 3 times or 4 times when people say to me, why don't I just put the money in the bank? Why don't I put it into a bond? Because we're in this to buy real estate, increase the rents, create larger value. There's a lot of tax incentives about owning commercial real estate. And the truth is the more entrepreneurial we get, the bigger risk that we take. I've watched guys in 30 years, I've just seen guys become super, super wealthy.
Yeah, no, 100%. And in times like this, like I said, if they do start to have more, let's say, fiscal easing, like so more as the market gets more relaxed, all that does, guys, is if you are holding hard assets, you're holding real estate, you're holding other in whatever form, let's say. I mean, I'm not saying, of course, be foolish about it. Consult with somebody like Ron, right, to help you make a wise decision. But if you're sitting on hard assets, you're holding hard assets that are performing. All that does is the valuation of those types of properties and those type of assets goes up whenever we get into this position of easing, let's say, in the cycle, in the market cycle. So yeah, no, like I said, I think we've got a great window. We've had a window because it's what it's done with these rates being high. It's spooked a lot of buyers away. You got a lot of people sitting on the sidelines.
The first people I want to speak to, Steve, I want to go out there to my brothers and my sisters who are commercial real estate brokers, residential real estate brokers. I want to say I don't have a perfect, I can't predict the future, but I can promise you this. If you're not having a good year and you are a broker, a real estate broker, commercial, residential, neither am I, but I really don't know anybody else that is. So there's a lot of opportunity in front of you. And I'm just saying, hang tight. I really expect 2025 and years after to be really lucrative. So if you're hurting, so am I. There's the first bit of honesty, huh? I'm
Yeah,
not having
no,
my best year.
that's okay. I mean, I think it's that way across the board in general. There's just less
Yeah,
disposable
but
income.
I need
People are being more
someone to
cautious.
go out there and say it.
Hey, that's you, Ron. That's you, Ron.
That's right. Let's get honest. Let's get honest. So everybody out there, first thing is I do expect interest rates. The Fed has already said, Jerome Powell said he does expect to lower interest rates. The stock market is at an all-time high, and I really do expect there to be a tremendous amount of money chasing commercial real estate deals for the foreseeable future. So I do think
Yeah.
that there's a window, and nothing happens. It's not like, it happens overnight, but I think in 2025, we're going to see some big appreciation.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Now, I do have a quick question just in terms of, let's say, and how you're helping clients navigate through kind of where we are right now. Obviously, it's a great time to buy. I agree with that. Just because the opportunity that's laying before us, like we know that there's going to be some increase, and again, no crystal ball, but strong indicators point towards that. But like right now, you might have, let's say, investors. You've got buyers that are okay. Well, hey, I am looking, but man, insurance, Ron. Okay, I hear you about the interest rates. I hear that those things are going to go down. What about my other costs? Right? What about insurance? Right? I don't know how you're helping clients to navigate through some of that, or
Yeah, we don't have it as bad here with insurance. South Florida, maybe in Hawaii, I really don't know, but I know in South Florida, insurance costs. We've had some increases, but nothing major.
Mhm.
I'm smiling when you're saying this because in 2024, it really highlights my skill set. As a 60-year-old guy who's been a broker for 30 years, you can't get a deal done. The banks really aren't lending right now. What do? Well, you need to be creative, and it's really helpful to get a guy, and deals get a little more complicated. And that's why I'm smiling, because I really am the go-to guy when it comes to seller financing and creativity and how to structure deals. After you've done 700 deals, it's easier to start to say, hey, listen, let's do seller financing. Let's calm it down. Let's meet. Let's all get into a room and let's be reasonable together, and we can get through this transaction. And everybody's going to actually benefit from it, except the banks, because there's no bank fees and there's really not any crazy fees. So essentially, I get a seller who's able to get a few more bucks, and a buyer who's able to save on fees and other bank costs. So you do need at that point someone to step in and be the quarterback. You do need
Mhm.
someone to come and say, "Hey, listen, I know. Let's 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 work out an amortization schedule. Let's work out balloon payments." And then you just keep fine. I'm working on a deal. We've been through seller financing, all sorts of scenarios, and it's just fun for me because I've been down this road before. So yeah, this is a good environment for me. I might get a bigger market share. Of course, when interest rates start to lower and more deals are done, I just want to participate in more deals.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, actually, you saying that actually brings up a really good point on a couple of different fronts. So it's during periods like this when it's not all rainbows and sunshine, the money's not so cheap and all this kind of stuff that helps you to develop your skill sets. So, for those of you that, okay, yeah, maybe you're sitting on the sidelines, like you were talking about, like to some of the brokers, hey, if you're residential or you're commercial broker, okay, what can you help, let's say your agents, your producers, what can you help them to do to develop additional tools and skills? Maybe they're not used to doing creative, right?
That's
You
right.
got your
Yeah,
own,
absolutely. The
you
first
got to
thing
build
out there
build a skill
is,
set. Mhm.
well, the first thing out there is to learn about seller financing,
Mhm.
and where are the pain points for a seller. So I'm going to take back a mortgage. I'm going to sell you the property. I'm going to take back a mortgage. Yes. And I think what's important for a seller to know is, yes, you're probably going to take, let's just say 30% or 40% of your $1 million asset, for round numbers, 300 or 400,000, and put it in your pocket. Then you're going to give a mortgage to this. And the mortgage is going to be secured by the property that you just own, that you just sold, that you probably know better than anyone. So that's some really strong security. And over time, if the purchaser doesn't perform, doesn't pay the mortgage, you take back the property. That's some good security. Fortunately, most people do perform, and you act as a bank, and you get interest plus amortization for an extended period of time. But yeah, it takes a little bit of doing it over and over again. And if I was a newer broker, I'd be curious. I am curious. I'm constantly curious. My curiosity maybe is different. I'm more curious about technology. Right now, I play with my chat GPT a lot. It's amazing me. It's blown me away. But maybe a younger broker's like, yeah, that's easy. Tell me more about deal structure, how to deal with people, how to.
That goes to your point. We were talking about earlier, let's say when you were first getting started. To me, and I'm hearing the way that you got started, hey, dyslexia. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to focus on my trick. That's important to remember. It's like everybody's got strengths, everybody's got weaknesses. Okay. Hey, maybe, certain aspects of me learning. Okay, great. That's a weak spot for me. Perfect. What is my strong suit? Right. And it's
All right,
don't
so
overlook
tell me,
that.
Steve, what's your superpower?
Oh, it's not my firearm. Empathy is my superpower, but no, I
wish
totally
mine
get.
was.
Well, yeah, again, the communication aspect, right? We've all got gifts, right? And so, no, that's why I said I always think it's important to remember that, for those of our listeners out there, hey, don't keep it in your mind that it's like, well, I'm not good at this, so I can't be successful. No, I mean, Ron's a perfect example of somebody who,
Can't read.
hey, yeah, it's like, okay, well, no, there's still plenty of other ways to be successful. Guess what? Numbers is a language. Learn the numbers. If the numbers is a strong suit and traditional reading is not yours, perfect. Go hammer the numbers. Partner up with somebody else whose strong suit is whatever it is that your weakness in, right? That's the beautiful thing about the world that we live in, the economy that we live in, the country that we lived in, right? You can do that. They may not teach you that in school. Partnership is not allowed in school, but in the real world, in the business world, absolutely is. Right. So no, I love that. That's one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit here. Also, too, on the creative aspect, this is one thing I've appreciated about commercial real estate versus, let's say, residential. Residential, everybody kind of wants to work in their just lane. Okay, well, hey, we have this traditional way of doing this. We've got the state promulgated contracts. We got a lot of buyer protections, all this kind of stuff, especially after the GFC and all of that. They implemented additional protective measures, which again, commercial space, always have an opportunity, like way more creative. That's the one thing I've always observed. It's like, hey, the understanding is if you're operating in this space, we assume that what you're doing, you either have the financial resources, you have the legal team, you've got brokers that are knowledgeable, people that help you out in the space. So you're not you can make your decisions. You got the big boy pants on at this point. So you're not dealing with, well, it's my first house and I don't know I don't know what I'm doing. And it's a different animal. So.
Right. And reaching out to, because I know that there's commercial real estate brokers out there listening, there's residential real estate brokers out there listening, there's buyers and sellers. And the thing I want to say to real estate brokers is if you don't know something and the market's changing, ask questions of the senior brokers. It's fun to be the senior broker and tell you how smart I am, or war stories, how we've overcame these challenges, because there's always new challenges that are happening. There's definitely, I tell you, it's interesting though to me, because I tell you, when you said, Steve, empathy is a superpower, it just made me feel comfortable, being able to speak to you, that you're a guy who understands how someone else is feeling and can put yourself in someone else's shoes. And the truth is that I watched a lot of my other successful friends, competitors, top real estate brokers write books. And they wrote about commercial real estate, the tax advantages, and how to do due diligence. And I said, I ain't doing this. I'm writing a book. I got two sons. I got a 12-year-old son named Drew and a 10-year-old son named Chase. And I want my message to my sons to give them the greatest chance for success. So what should we write about? What should we write about? There are 4,000 American colleges and universities, okay? 90 of which, 90, have one class in selling. 90. It's almost non-existent. Sales are not being taught, okay? Dale Carnegie said about 15% of one's financial success is due to one's technical knowledge, and 85 is due to skill in human engineering. So when I asked you your superpower, you said empathy. That's human engineering. That's how you become successful. So I wanted them to focus on the 85%, the most meaningful part of success. If, 15% of your success comes from your technical knowledge of commercial real estate, and 85% is due to personality and achieving the ability to lead people. I really wanted to write a book. So I wrote a book. It's called Power Broker, How to Be Successful in Business and in Life. And really the one thing, and I know you're going to ask me about later on, not to give anything away during the speed rounds, what my superpower is. I'm 60, I was 54 at the time. My brother, who was also at the dinner table, who's a hugely successful commercial real estate attorney, really the go-to guy, Ron Koenigsberg in South Florida. He said to me, "You're not listening." I said, No. I understand. I'm a salesman. Don't worry, I can deal with people. I understand. You don't understand. Your ears, they're attached to your head. You don't have to listen. It happens automatically. And that is when life changed. My brother Jay said to me, "No, listening is the hardest thing in the world." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you got things that you're dying to tell me. You see, you're not even listening to me. It's really hard to do." And it got through. Don't know why that day it got through. And I just made a deal with myself. Maybe I said it to him. I said, "Listen, for the next 30 days, I am going to focus on active listening. I'm going to try to repeat back what people said so they actually are heard. I am going to put away my distractions, and I am going to try to actively listen to, I am going to actively listen and try to listen." And really that changed my life. That I really became a much better person, a much better father, a much better boyfriend to my now current girlfriend, and a better commercial real estate broker. So if you're listening, anyone listening, put away your distractions, focus on the person in front of you. It's so, so difficult. It's one of life's hardest skills. That's the reason why it's chapter number 1 in my book, Active Listening.
I love that. And it's actually super, super powerful advice. You're right. I think too, like it's going to be even more prescient now. We have so much digital distraction. We're bombarded by information at this point, like through our devices. Like we can't, it's an extension of, you've got young boys, young sons. And so many of us, I've got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I'm right there with you, but so many of the kids now, it's like, gosh, they have these devices just nonstop. And it's like, they're not developing those interpersonal skills that you and I would have, hey, we didn't even grow up with that. phones and all that kind of stuff, like cell phones and they weren't a thing like when I was young, right?
How many times do you think the average person touches their phone per day?
Oh, it's thousands. It's insane.
2,600 times per day you touch your phone. You might be typing in a number. Anyone listening, I want to tell you this is not changing. Science teaches us communication is 55-38-7. 55% of communication is body language. 38% is tonality. 7% is the message. So now the average person is out there receiving and sending over 100 text messages a day. And it gets incrementally, as you get younger, there's more. Now we have a 93% chance of miscommunication because all you're getting is the message. There's no facial expression. There's no tonality. There's no body language. Nothing. Talk about misunderstanding. Text messages are a great way to misunderstand. And emails, same thing. So the bottom line is that's why I really wanted to pull it back, understand we're getting further and further and further away from proper communication. We're getting more and more closer to miscommunication.
Love that. Oh, and that's great. And I love that, like that, your book is, hey, can you take that point, let's say, and apply it to your business? Absolutely. Can you take that point and apply it to your personal life? Absolutely. Right. So even just literally, if that one takeaway, guys, if you're listening, you're watching us, and that you grab one thing away from this episode, our conversation here, that can change your life. That can change your marriage. That can change the relationship you have with your
That's right.
kids, your
That's
business partners, your
That's right.
clients. Oh my goodness.
That's
That's a game changer.
That's right. And that's the reason why I wanted Power Broker, how to be successful in business and in life, to highlight these skills. Number one, they're very difficult to get. 90 colleges out of 4,000 are teaching one class and then how to be a salesman. But let's take a look at this stat. In 2019, United States Department of Labor said that 20% in 2019, 20% of all Americans filed for a 1019 tax return. That's a self-employed, non-employee tax return. Now, the Department of Labor estimates that 50, half of every single American will file a 1099 non-employee tax return by 2027. It's 2024 right now. In the next 3 years, okay, half of America, half, going to file, and there's nobody to teach anybody 38% of that pie, the selling part, the initial part to get yourself off the ground. To make matters worse, 76% of Generation Z, born 1990 to 2010, report phone anxiety if they need to make a phone call. 78% of consumers wish they could text a business rather than call. Hello, Houston, we have a problem. We're getting further and further and further away from the skills that are necessary to own your own business. And we're getting more and more people owning their own business. I wrote a book for Drew and Chase that I want everyone to go out and read. I kept it simple. I wrote a book for a dyslexic person. And so I also read it on, I read it on audible.com. And it wasn't enough also just to write a book, just to read the book. I also, at the end of every chapter, put 15 questions in. Are you sure you got this? Let's talk about active listening. Let's talk about public speaking. Let's talk about claustrophobia, the fear that's in place, the reason why you'd rather die than give a speech. You don't want to know why?
Tell me.
There's a real good reason. In each one of us, before we go out and give a speech, that fear, it's from our ancestors. What happened was that we all lived in tribes and we all lived in communities. And the fear was, again, just fear, doesn't mean it's real. The fear was you would publicly speak in front of everybody. You'd be so humiliated that you would literally be ostracized. And ostracized meant that you alone would not be part of a community anymore, and you'd be forced outside of the group to fend for yourself against angry wolves and whatever happened a couple thousand years ago, a couple hundred years ago. I don't know. But that is claustrophobia, and it's hardwired. Anybody listening right now, they got to go give a speech. Practice. Just practice. Practice. It doesn't get interesting to me until I've done it 10 times.
No, that's really great. Like, it's a great statistic because it's such a powerful driver. I mean, it comes back to kind of these underlying, let's say, currents that are drivers for all of our behavior, that fear. And really what it is, it's a fear of being alone, like being ostracized, being outcast, let's say, from the group, not being a part, not having, let's say, identity and protection through the group, but really being isolated. This is why solitary confinement is such a punishment, because nobody wants to be alone. I don't care how antisocial you are. You don't want to be alone. We're not meant to be alone. So no, that's awesome. And I'm actually really glad that you shared that.
I'm going to share with you, I think the coolest statistic what happened was, I started to write the book and I started to get into it. And then you start to research. You start to say, hey, listen, are there statistics of what I believe that support my basic premise, that these basket of skills are important? And that's when I found, as of 2023, 85% of current entrepreneurs and business leaders. And if you ask Drew and Chase, what they would want to be, they would say, I want to be a top end. I want to be a business owner, a business leader. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make a lot of money. I want to drive cool cars. That's what they would tell you. As of 2023, 85% of the current entrepreneurs and business leaders started their careers in sales. What came first, the success or the skill set?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Skill set. Yeah. No doubt. Hands down. And I appreciate you throwing out the stats, because what it should do is encourage, if we've got younger listeners and people kind of stepping out and maybe going, or even if you're not younger, but maybe you're transitioning into a different stage of your career, let's say, work on these skills, right? Because what it's going to do is really set yourself apart from the competition that is fearful of selling, right? Of communicating, right? Of being put in front of people and actually having a conversation.
It's tough. I remember the first time I went to go sell these real estate limited partnerships for my dad. My brother didn't have to. He was a good student, and he went straight to law school, and I didn't. I had to face down these fears, and I wanted to throw up. I did. I was mad. I was mad that I didn't have these skills. I was mad at my dad. I was mad at my mom. I was mad at my brother. I was mad. I had to go out there and go sell these things, and I was scared. I was 19 years old, and I was asking people to invest in commercial real estate partnerships. Specifically, I sold these shares in this company called Public Storage. And Public Storage, yeah, I know, they were greatest investments ever. Anyone who bought from me, oh, did they make money? Public Storage started the public storage in America, and it's just a tremendous, successful company. So yeah, I had sold those right out of college in 1986 and did that for a number of years. Everybody made a lot of money. My dad's a smart guy. He happened to give me a very, very good investment that he vetted carefully. But yeah, I think my advice to anyone else out there, and for Drew and for Chase, is to please, by all means, read Power Broker, how to be successful in business and life. Understand that these skills are not being taught. I wish they were. If I could speak to the Department of Education, I would say, guys, 85% of current entrepreneurs' success and successful business people started in sales. Let's grab some salespeople and let's tell them. Let's go through the skills that are necessary to be successful in sales. And as far as real estate investors are concerned, real estate brokers, brothers and sisters that I deal with, be an active listener, have empathy. That's going to take you far.
Yeah. Excellent. I was going to say, you're like, oh, you got a message to the DOE. Hey, it sounds like you've got your next task, your next business venture.
I think I enjoy selling commercial real estate properties too much. And I don't think that I was ever really closely associated with, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that can align themselves. I'm not Joe's student. I do have my master's from New York University in commercial real estate and investment. And then I went on and got my CCIM. I want to be the best at what I do. And I want people that hire me to understand that they don't want to go to sell a property without me right next to them. And I want everyone to know you don't get a do-over. It's like, you can't look at it and go, hey, listen, I gave the listing to my cousin, and I don't know, listen, we did all right. And then find out that the building next door sold for double. Ugh. How does that feel?
Never a good feeling. Like, for those of you, our listeners that have had property, whether it be residential, commercial, whatever, been through that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Be careful about those favors you're doing for your cousin who needs a first deal to go sell your shopping center. You could leave a lot of money on the table, and you don't get a do-over no matter how bad, you want your property back. Can't claw it back. Let's go to the speed round, Steve. Let's hear the questions.
I was going to say, yeah, I think you answered most of them through our conversation, but all right, let's do it.
Okay.
All right. First question. What is the best book that you recommend, other than, of course, your own? Although, yes, everybody go check out.
I would say the coolest book that I've read in the last 5 or 10 years that spoke to me, Christopher Voss, VOSS.
Yep.
Never split the difference. You take an FBI negotiator who has to save lives, who's put into the most high pressure situations, and he tells you how to negotiate like your life depends upon it. Spoiler alert, he uses things like empathy and active listening.
Mirroring. Oh yeah. Excellent book.
So
yeah,
what is mirroring? What is mirroring?
Oh, it's what a lot of what we've been doing. Well,
That's
what
right.
is mirroring, right? Yeah.
Mirroring.
No, excellent book recommendation. Yeah, and you guys sound similar too, so it was probably a good listen for you.
I
Yeah.
listen, but I can't read. I've only
No, I
listened
think
to it 18 times though, probably.
I probably have too. It's a great
Yeah.
book. All right. All right. So next question, what would you consider your superpower? I know you kind of mentioned it earlier, but just for those that
Sure.
weren't listening and
Sure.
didn't catch it.
Sure. Yeah. I would say that now my adult life superpower is active listening, and I'm an active listener. I would say, though, before the age of 44, what my superpower has and always will be, and it's something we haven't spoken about, is I started on Wall Street. And Wall Street, the requirement was to make 400 dials a day. Now you're like, all right, anyone can learn how to dial the phone. No, it's more than that. It's willing to absorb rejection. So when people say, hey, in commercial real estate as a broker, you need to make a lot of phone calls. A lot of people are going to say no. I'm like, well, no. You have no idea what it was like when I was in my 20s. So my superpower has always been the ability to absorb, make phone calls, and just absorb one more until I get to someone who's going to sell that building through me. So I have the ability to, because of those 400 phone calls for maybe 3 or 4 years, who really just say, hey, who cares? If you're
Yeah.
out there listening, you're a commercial real estate broker. I don't know how to help you get thicker skin, other than, believe me, I'm glad I dialed the phone 400 times a day.
And he's not lying, guys, because before we started recording, he was actually on the phone. So he was
Oh, I'm
putting
always
into
on the
practice.
phone. I'm always on the phone. I'm never off the phone. Speakerphone in the car. I'm on the phone a lot. I like being on the phone. I like people. I do. I like human connection. I do.
And it's vital. We need it. And you know what? And you're 100% right. Those that are willing to push past the fear, embrace the potential rejection, and it's unsubstantiated fear most of the time, just to get on the phone and jump on and have a conversation with somebody, huge way to set yourself apart. People will remember that. Oh yeah, Ron, I can jump on a call with Ron. Let me call Ron. Oh, it's always a good conversation.
I always pick up. Freaks people out.
There you go.
Oh, I was expecting to get your voicemail. No, you got me. It's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love it. All right, next question. What is for the busy working professional, somebody's trying to work towards financial freedom, what advice would you have for them?
Time block. If you don't plan, your day's going to get away from you. Your week's going to get away from you. Your year's going to get away from you. And then years are going to get away from you. Time block. Live in that calendar. Be proactive. Get ahead of it. Set your goals. And time block. Time block, guys. Time block. Be proactive about your time. If you're a commercial real estate broker out there, you're listening, time block. I'm going to prospect. I'm going to return calls. But listen, we all want less pain in our life. And there is some pain in prospecting. It's no fun. It's no fun. I wish there was a button to push. I wish there was a way to have an unlimited amount of people lining up my door, telling me that they want to sell their properties and they need me as their broker. I advertise on LinkedIn. I'm trying.
There you go. Well, hopefully the episode will get your phone ringing a little bit more too.
We'll see.
And Ron, if people want to connect with you, if they do want to reach out, they've got questions for you, if they're in New York or they just want to pick your brain, maybe you did speak to some brokers to our episode.
I love that. I love that. I love what I do. And yes, absolutely. I would do it for free. Fortunately, commercial real estate brokers can make a good living. Yeah, we play with big numbers, but their investments are huge. They're always $1 million or more. So connecting with me I'm Real Estate Ron on Instagram. Ron Koenigsberg is my name right there, and that's on Facebook and LinkedIn. We post a lot on LinkedIn. I have someone in my office helping me. And the book Power Broker, it's on Amazon. It's in Audible form. My email address is Ron, RON at AIPROPS.com. Ron at American Investment Properties, AI Props. And the truth is, I would love to hear someone say, hey, listen, I heard you on Steve's show, and ask a question. But I want it to be honest and sincere and say, hey, listen, I'm stuck on this one. Because if you're stuck on it, I'm probably stuck on it too.
Well, at least you have a good conversation about it and you work through it together.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, Ron, I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day and sharing with me, sharing with our listeners. I've enjoyed our conversation. So I wish you all the best. And moving forward, maybe I'll reach out, touch base with you in New
Please
York.
do.
If you
Come to
guys
New
got
York. I
questions
know
for
you're
Ron,
from Hawaii, and anybody has questions to me, email me, hit me up on Facebook. I don't do the Twitter thing and I don't do the TikTok thing, but it's pretty good for a guy born in 1964 to be doing the LinkedIn, the Facebook, and the Instagram. So there's plenty of places to hit me up.
awesome. Well, Ron, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thanks,
wisdom
man.
and your advice. Enjoyed our conversation. Have a great one. Aloha.
You too. Aloha.
Great conversation with Ron Koenigsberg, commercial real estate broker up in New York. He's been in the business a long time, American Investment Properties. Make sure you guys hit him up. He's obviously had a journey, and that's why I always enjoy speaking to people who've been in the business a long time, who just have life experience, because we can always glean so much from each other. But a lot of times we don't stay still long enough to reflect, to go back on things that we've picked up over the years. And he even mentioned, he shared there in the show, even something as recent as in his 50s, even though he'd been in business a long time already, just having a simple conversation with his brother. Hey, you know what? Why don't you work on, let's say, the listening component? And now that's helped him out with his relationship with his kids and his business, helped him to write a book. We want to be mindful to never feel like, hey, I know it all, right? Because then you're closing your mind off to improving yourself, to getting better. And there's always ways that we can make improvement. There's always ways that we can learn more. It helps keep life exciting too. So yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation with Ron. If you guys have questions, make sure that you're reaching out to him. Send him an email, send him a message on LinkedIn or Instagram, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the conversation. Well, guys, if you are interested in investing with us, or you want to learn more about Tri-City Equity Group, things that we've got going on, go to tricityequity.com. You can learn more about our previous deals and just kind of our general MO for the things that we invest in, commercial multifamily assets in different states, different markets. We've done hundreds of units across the country. So we're really excited, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're local here in Hawaii, or maybe you're visiting the island for a vacation, you want to take a day out or an evening out and talk shop, talk story, come on, connect with us at our monthly meetup, multifamily and more. We meet every month. We'd love to have a conversation with you and just kind of share in your journey, and maybe we can help you achieve your goals. Guys, we'd love a 5-star review too. If you guys are finding value in the podcast, please share it with a friend. Leave us a 5-star review. And if it's something you're hating the show, that's okay. That's fine too. But let us know how we can make improvements so that we can continue to bring on better and better guests, and improve the show flow, the conversations that we're having with investors and operators around the country, around the world, really. We'd love to be able to deliver more value for you guys. All right, well, that's going to be it for today. We'll sign off. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Go and take some action. Work on your active listening. That's going to help you in your relationships and your business, multiple facets of your life. All right, talk to you guys soon. Aloha.